Hi, I am Hatice Kübrateloğlu. This is Human-Computer Interaction lesson presentation, and I will present guidelines for human-AI interaction article. Introduction. Artificial intelligence are enabled the developers to integrate a variety of AI capabilities into a user-facing systems. However, as automated inference are typically performed under the uncertainty, often processing false positive and false negatives. And AI systems may demonstrate unpredictable behaviors that can be disruptive, confusing, offensive, and even dangerous. And principles for human-AI interaction have been discussed in human-computer interaction community for over 20 years. But more study and innovation are needed in the light of advance in AI and the growing uses of AI technologies in human-facing applications. In this work, they synthesize over 20 years of learning AI design into a small set of generally applicable design guidelines for human-AI interaction. And contributions are a codification of over 150 AI-related design recommendations, and they collected from academic and industry sources into a set of 18 generally guidelines and a systematic validation of the 18 guidelines through multiple rounds of iteration and testing. And these the guidelines, 18 guidelines here. And if we look, first, make clear what the system can do. And second, make clear how well the system can do what it can do. And third, time services based on context. Fourth, show contextually relevant information. And fifth, match relevant social norms. And sixth, mitigate social biases. And seven, support efficient invocation. And eight, support efficient dismissal. And next one, support efficient correction. And next one is scope services when in doubt. And 11 is make clear why the system did what it did. And the next one is remember recent interactions. And the 13th is learn from the user behaviors. And the next one is update and adapt causally. And the 15 is encourage granular feedback. And 16 is convey the consequence of user actions. And the 17 is provide global controls. And the last one is notify users about changes. And this is their human 18 human AI interaction design guidelines, and roughly categorized by when they likely are to be applied during interaction with users, along with the illustrative applications across products tested by participation in user study phase. And the guidelines test from 4-phase process. Then phase 1 is consolidating guidelines. They consolidated more than 150 design recommendations from multiple sources into a set of 20 guidelines. In phase 2, modified heuristic evaluation. And in this phase, they conducted an internal modified heuristic evolution of the guidelines, revising the set down to 80. Phase 3 is user study phase. And here they consistent of a user study in which 49 participations use heuristic evaluation to assess the guidelines and relevance and clarity. Based on their feedback, they rephrase some of the guidelines to improve clarity. And in phase 4, they conducted an expert evaluation of the revision to validate the final set. First, phase 1, consolidating guidelines. Two part of them. Recent public articles and editorials about AI design and relevant scholarly papers about AI design. And this is the review of AI products and guidelines originating from industry. They collected guidelines asserted internally their company and externally. And they grouped them to themes and they outed the sample of AI products within and outside their company against themes and cross-referenced them with internal customer feedback. And phase 2, modified heuristic evolution. And Here, they proposed each guideline adhere to the following criteria. And first, it should be written as a rule action containing about 3 or 10 words and starting with a verb. And the second one is it should be accompanied by one sentence description that qualifies or clarifies any potential ambiguity. And the last one is it should not contain conjunctions. And phase 3, user study phase. And here is they proposed two parts and two things here. And the first, to understand the guidelines applicability across a variety of products. And another one is get feedback about the guidelines clarity. They conducted a user study with 49 human-computer interaction participations. They assigned each participation to the AI-driven feature of a product they were familiar with and asked them to find examples of each guideline. Participations were then interacted to play around with their assigned feature and fill out a form asking a series of questions. For each guideline, the form asked participants to first determine if the guideline does not apply to their assigned feature, if not, to explain why. If a participant judged that a guideline should apply to their assigned feature and they observed application or violations, the form requests participants to provide their own examples. And for each example, a rating of the extent of the application or violation on a 5-point semantic differentiation scale from clearly violated, clearly applied, along with explanation of the rating. And here is the figure, very confusing to very clear, and provide additional comments about the guidelines. And this figure, subjective evolution by study participations about the clarity of the 18 guidelines. And this figure is the counts of applications, violations, and does not apply response here. And rows shows the counts by guideline, and columns shows the counts by product category tested. And phase 4, expert evaluation of revision. Here they work with an 11 experts, and they ask the preferred device or old version, prefer which one. And to verify whether the revision they proposed in the previous sections improved their guidelines, they conducted an expert review. And expert reviews have been shown to effectively identify problems related to wording and clarity. For this purpose, they defined the expert as people who have work experience in CSE and who are familiar with this area. Conclusion: they proposed and evaluated 18 generally applicable design guidelines for human-AI interaction, and they distilled the guidelines from over 150 AI-related design recommendations and validated them through 3 rounds of evolution. And this work gives hopeful that application of these guidelines will result in better, more human-centric AI-infused system, and that our synthesis can facilitate further research, as the current technology landscape is shifting towards the increasing inclusion of AI in computing application. This is the significant value in working to further develop and refine the design guidelines for the human-AI interaction. In the future work could examine the uses and the value of these guidelines and various stages of the design and ethical concerns. And ethical concerns is focused guidelines can be difficult to fully evaluate a heuristic evolution. And successful detection of problems may depend on who is performing the evolution. Thank you for listening.